said I didn't really need a microphone, but I think they're wanting it for the recording purposes, so. Okay, so I want to start tonight with two confessions. The first one is I would not be standing up here right now if it wasn't for my daughter. Because when Celia came to me in August and standing out there and she's asked me about doing this, my first immediate thought was no. I do not, how am I going to get out of this? I do not speak in public. And my daughter happened to be right there and she said, you should do it, Mom. And so then I'm like, okay, how am I going to say no? But my daughter's right here encouraging me to do it. So that's why I'm up here. And the second confession is I can be very selfish with my time. I don't know if you're like me, but you know, it seems like we never have enough of two things, time and money. And sometimes things come up and I just feel like I just don't have time for that. I haven't had any time for myself yet. So this lesson has been a good lesson for me too, to kind of see things and put things in perspective, because serving doesn't always come easily. It seems like there's never enough time. And I was working on this lesson, I ran across this quote that says, don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pat Stewart, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. The truth is we all have the same number of hours in a day. And obviously God thought that 24 hours in a day was enough. So maybe when it seems like we don't have enough hours, maybe we're trying to jam too many things into those hours. Another quote that I came across said, not enough hours in the day, stop doing things that don't matter. And that really kind of hit me, because I find that I can sit down at the computer and I may have a goal in mind, like I need to do a certain thing, and then an hour later, I'm still sitting there and I'm like, what have I done? What have I gotten accomplished? And I was, you know, honestly, I was wasting time. I wasn't doing things that were meaningful. So I want to challenge you and myself tonight to see the benefits of giving our time to serve others. And if you're thinking right now that you really don't have time, ask yourself, what kind of things are you doing now that take up your time that you could give up in order to spend time showing your kids how to serve? All right, so let's look at the Bible. What does the Bible say about serving? So in 1 Peter 4:10, the Bible says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. We all have different gifts. Teaching preschool I feel like that's a gift that God has given me. Public speaking is not one of my gifts. But I do believe that serving in some form or fashion is a gift that all of us have if we are willing to use it. Proverbs 11:25 says that a generous person will be enriched, and the one who provides water for others will himself be satisfied. I think you all agree that when we help others, we reap the benefits of that as well. And of course, we have the example of Jesus in John 13:12-14. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash the feet of one another's feet. Wash one another's feet. At Matthew 20:28, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and gave his life as a ransom for many. So we know the Bible, there's countless verses over and over in the Bible speaking about serving others. And there are benefits to serving. So not only is the person who you are helping being enriched, but when you're serving other people, you are actually reaping benefits as well. There was lots of different things, and I was doing research that were talking about benefits of serving. Helping others actually, it makes you feel good, right? When you help someone, you feel good about it. It makes you happy. If you're one of those people who loves to give gifts, research actually shows that the person who gives the gift is actually happier than the person who gets the gift. Helping others also reduces stress and helps you live longer. When you're doing good things for others, your body produces happy hormones and endorphins that foster positive emotions. These positive emotions actually reduce stress and boost our immune system, and in turn can protect us against diseases. Number 3, helping others can create needed bonds. We need each other, right? People need people. And the basic fact has always been true that volunteering, you fulfill your human need to become interconnected with others in a positive way. And also, if you are doing volunteer like with your children, you're also strengthening the bonds that you have with your children. Helping others builds empathy. Community service is one of the best ways to teach your children the value of empathy. Not only does it show kids kindness and compassion and selflessness, but it also teaches them a variety of life skills as well. Helping others brings families together. And for me, the biggest one is it helps put things in perspective. I'm one of those people that worries quite a bit. I can stress about really it's just it's little things in the grand scheme. But when you help others and you can see just how fortunate you really are, it really helps put these things in perspective. And then also helping others actually promotes positive behavior in teens, which, you know, that's a good one. You have those teenagers, they actually have better grades and better self-image. Okay, so we've looked at what does the Bible say about serving and what are the benefits, but how do we teach our kids to serve? And teach them that serving is actually fun. I firmly believe that serving starts at home. I've often heard people say, my kids will help other people, but they won't help at home. So why is that? If your kids will help at other places, you know, if they'll help at school or help at church, why won't they help at home? My question would be, do your kids see you helping your spouse? Do they see your spouse helping you? At our house, we don't really have like typical roles that a lot of people have, like, you know, the woman does this and the man does that. In our house, Michael totally helps me with the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry. I clean out the garage. I do most of the mowing. And I think that our kids see that we help each other, that we're a team, and we do what needs to be done. Typically when Michael gets home from work, I'm usually cooking dinner. And the first thing he says when he comes in, after he gives me a hug and says hello, he says, what can I do to help? Every day. That's what he says. And I get choked up just saying it because I know how lucky I am. But I know that my kids see that. And I just really firmly believe that serving is going to start at the home. When your family or your Bible class has get-togethers, do your kids see you helping clean up? Or do they see you standing around talking and letting other people do the work? I'm not saying that the talking isn't important, because the fellowship is. But what kind of example are you showing your children? And then also, at home, do your kids have chores? I believe kids need chores. And little kids, you know, 3 years old, they can have chores. They need to learn the value of being helpful around the house, and then that's going to help them be helpful in other places. And that, you know, is on the parents. There should be an expectation that, you know, you're part of the family, and we need you, and we need you helping at home. All right, so let's look at some ways that you can serve at Waterview. The list I'm going to show you is not a comprehensive list, but just some things that I thought of that are, some of the things they're easy and they don't require a lot of time, but I think that the effort can actually be very far-reaching. The first one on my list may not, I know it's kind of hard to see, but I've never used Google Slides before, and I didn't know how to do like one bullet point at a time, so I just had to show them all at one time. Sorry. Teaching Bible class. As the person at this church whose responsibility is to find Bible class teachers, it's difficult. And I think Dustin would tell you the same thing. Like, I have to find teachers for 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5-year-olds. And then Dustin does it for elementary age. It can be difficult to find teachers. We need help. We need teachers. And that's an easy way. Well, I shouldn't say easy. It's not always easy, but it's always rewarding. But it's a way to serve here at church. And if your children are old enough to participate in LTC, one of those things is teaching challenge. Your children can be in teaching challenge. And it's showing them from, very early on you're training them how to teach. That's a way to serve in the church. Just recently we had those Thanksgiving bags. That's an easy way where you can pick up the bag, look at the list, you go to the store, buy the stuff together, and bring it back. Here about a month ago, we had a Veterans Day breakfast. And Michael had the idea this year, he sent an email out to all or most of the families that had children in the 1st through 5th grade and asking them to please help, trying to get some of the families with young kids involved. And we did. We had the Hudsons came up and helped, the Alexanders, the Grays, the Chapels, had their kids up here helping to serve the food. And so the kids were learning to serve, and then also they were learning about the service from our veterans as well, serving our country. Check the bulletin. Have your kids send get well and sympathy cards. Have them write on the cards that you send. My dad, he is known to be like the card writer. I mean, he is an elder over at McDermott Road now, but for as long as I can remember, he has written people cards. And people even say, oh yeah, I got a card from your dad. I mean, like, my dad writes cards. Connie is great about writing cards. Have your kids write in a card as well. Years ago, it was either in the back of the songbooks or the back of the Bibles on the pews. In the very back of those used to be these little postcard things. I don't remember what they said, but when our kids were younger, we would have them take 2 or 3 out of the back of those, and then we would look in the bulletin and we would see who's sick this week, who had someone die, and then we would have the kids send them one of those little postcard things. There's a lady from this church who still goes here, that Caleb, he was probably in 3rd grade at the time. He wrote her a little note. He didn't know who she was, but her name was in the bulletin as someone that was sick. He wrote her a card. She still remembers it to this day. She has mentioned it to me on more than one occasion. She says she has that card like in her nightstand. And when Caleb graduated 3 years ago, 2 years ago, in the card she wrote him for graduation, she mentioned him writing her that card and how much that meant to her. So something really small like that. Some of your kids don't write yet. Have them draw a picture. It could really brighten up someone's day. VBS Workday. That was fun. I mean, we were up here this year helping with VBS Workday. When you serve with other people, it's just it's fun, Celia and us were in there baking the prison for the VBS. Yeah, we had a great time. Emma was there, Alana was there. It was fun, Celia. Come on.
I never remember it.
The greeters ministry. That's an easy way to serve. Having a trunk or treat. Have you ever written your child's Bible class teacher a thank you card? I don't know. Maybe we could get more teachers if teachers really felt appreciated. I know for me, I teach preschool. Gifts are nice. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. Gifts are nice, right? But what is really meaningful to me is getting a card from a parent that says something sincere. Not just, thanks for, all you do, but really is sincere. Those mean a lot. And if you write a card to your child's teacher, Bible class teacher, and then have your kid, again, if they don't write, ask them. Say, hey, what do you like about Bible class? And putting that in a note. I know it would go a long way, and it would mean a lot to those teachers. That's a simple way to serve. We have the school bell program, passing out those backpacks. Cooking a meal together, taking that to someone in need. The food pantry, look in the bulletin, and I don't think it's there weekly, but you'll see at times where it tells what food do we need. When you go to the store, take your child with you and buy some of those things, have them bring the bags in and put them in and talk about what do those things mean. All right, prime timers luncheons. We need your help. The prime timer, Michael and I got involved with the prime timers many, many years ago, and they have monthly luncheons. They love those luncheons. They all bring a dish, and if you're helping, you bring a dish too. It's very simple, but they love that, and they also love seeing the children here helping serve. So the chapels are great. They're always here helping. So the prime timers will come through the table, and then they'll get the kids will come up and say, what would you like to drink? And so then they'll take the drink to the table or whatever, and then when it's done, they take the trash cans around they're picking up. It also provides hope and encouragement to those prime timers to see the young children helping. And I mean, my kids always loved it. They loved a good potluck down here with the prime timers luncheon. So that is a way that you can teach your kids to serve, and that's an area that's very, very needed. You don't have to commit to doing this every month. You know, if you say, actually, matter of fact, I'm going to send out like a sign-up genius and just see if we can get some different families to help. Even if you can only do 1 month, that would be great. It would be very beneficial. And then this past Saturday, we had the cheer baskets for the shut-ins. And we took one to Barbara Jackson, stayed over there and visited her for a little while. And then this is my daughter Lana with Daisy Taylor, who she made a connection with through the Prime Timers luncheons. And Daisy is unable to come to church now due to her health, but she sends Lana cards. Lana had her birthday last week. Daisy sent her a card. And so when we said we're going to get Daisy, Lana said, I want to go. She wanted to make sure that she went. And again, I feel like that started from years and years ago of making that connection through the Prime Timers. So again, that's not an exhaustive list. Some of those things do take a little more time, but some are very easy, quick things that you can do to teach your kids how to serve. All right, there are ways to serve outside of Waterview too, of course. The first two are just websites. I just literally went in and did a Google search for things that, families could do together. And there were some good ideas on there that were targeted toward young children. And then just like 2 weeks ago, I heard about this place called Love Packs. I don't know if y'all have heard of that, but it's packing boxes it's with the Plano ISD, and you're packing boxes. But also, I know it's hard, that picture up at the top, I just took off their website and it's hard to see, but the boxes are all decorated. So they have notes on there and things like that the kids actually can draw on the boxes and, write notes or something, and then you're packing those up. So I think that could be a fun project. And then the bottom over here, all the people in the hairnets, that was the softball team. And they went in here in Richardson, it's called Feed My Starving Children. And they did a service project together about a month ago. And so I got on that website just to kind of find out a little more about it. And it was really easy to navigate. And it looks like it is something that would hold large groups. And I thought this could be a really fun thing for like a Bible class to say, hey, as a Bible class, let's do this together. Because again, I feel like serving with other people, it's more fun, right? And there's like time slots. They're like 1 hour and 45 minutes. And I mean, some of these, it'll show you like, okay, at this time slot, we have 10 spots available, or we have 77 spots still available. I mean, it was easy to navigate, and they, other than having to wear the hairnets, I think they all had a really good time. Okay, so what I want to finish up with is just showing you some pictures and talk about a little bit some things that my family has done over the years. And probably the biggest, most meaningful thing that we did together to serve as a family was we went to Cuernavaca, Mexico. Some of you will remember Patrick and Brandon A. Garcia, who were members here, and then they were missionaries in Mexico for a while. And they were very dear to us. So in 2014, we took it was a vacation, but we did some serving while we were there. And before we went, Caleb and Lana, who are now 18 and 20, so this was, like I said, this was like 2014, they had a lemonade stand, and they called this Money for Missionaries in Mexico. And all the money that they got, they sent to the Garcias in Mexico to use however they needed. Well, Lana also decided to have another stand. This one was called Candy and Cookies for Cuernavaca. And back then, those rainbow loom bracelets, those rainbow loom products were huge, and Lana was obsessed with those. She made all kind of things with those rubber band things. So she made all kind of rings and bracelets and all kind of things there that she sold. And then these 4 men in this picture were Bible students there in Cuernavaca. And that's like a full-time job. Like it was hours and hours every day. So they really could not have a full-time job. They were in school taking these Bible classes. So the money that Lana got from that, she sent and specifically wanted it to go to these 4 men. So then when we got to go on the trip over there, she got to meet them. They got to meet her. It was very special. And these were the 4 men that got that money from her stand. My favorite day on our trip there was we went to see these street kids and feed them. And these street kids they're not orphans. They have parents and they have homes, which you know, but that's a pretty loose term. It was a very, very poor area. The homes probably had, you know, holes in the roof and things like that, but these kids were happy. They were coming there and they were coming to get a hot meal. And here's Caleb serving some food to them. They didn't speak English, and we don't speak Spanish. But you can see the smiles on the faces, like Lana's, you know, doing one of those, you know, hand clapping things with one of the girls there. And they were just happy. And we had the best time. And Michael over there on the right bought a huge bag of candy. And so all the kids were just clamoring around trying to get that candy from him. And then these ladies on the left here, they were the ones cooking all the food. And this is the kitchen. And this is where, to me, looking back at the benefits of serving, putting things in perspective. Because sometimes I'm at my house and I think, I wish I had a bigger house. I wish I had a bigger kitchen. I wish I had an island. I really wish I had an island in my kitchen. I'm jealous when I go to people's houses and they have an island. And then I look at this and I'm like, wow, this was the stove. This is where they were cooking for those people. And serving. These ladies were serving these kids in need who needed food. This day was so impactful that that November, we were there in the summer, that November for Lana's birthday, she said she didn't want gifts, she wanted money. And the money went back to these street kids. Another day we were there, we just worked at the church. Here's Michael and Patrick, who were building a puppet stage to use in the church. The kids and I helped Brandon A. put up some bulletin boards and cut out some things and, you know, just do some things that the church needed there. Those rainbow loom bracelets that Lana was obsessed with, she made one for every kid at the church. I don't remember how many it was, but they had told us ahead of time how many kids come. And here's some pictures of some of the girls showing off the rainbow loom bracelets that Lana had made for all of them. Okay, when Caleb was in high school, we were in a mother-son service organization. It was called Young Men's Hearts of Servants. And so we were in this organization. Here's just a couple of different times we went to the North Texas Food Bank. We packed backpacks with the Network of Community Ministries. One day we did some work at the Special Olympics. And one day we walked dogs at the Richardson Animal Shelter because we thought, well, this is perfect. He wants to be a vet, right? So what a better thing to do. It's right down the street. We did that one time because I will never forget. They told us the rules and stuff, and they said, don't let the dogs get close to each other, right? Like, don't let any dogs interact. I don't remember how it happened. I'm sure it was my fault, and they seemed so sweet, and we let two dogs get too close, and I mean, a fight broke out. It was massive. I'm traumatized to this day. It was so embarrassing. These dogs, they couldn't get them to break up. Someone had to go in and get a huge bucket of water and come out and throw it on the dogs to try to shock them and break them up. It was so bad. I was like, okay, we never went back there, but I will not forget it. All right, and then on Lana's 11th birthday, she loved to bake. She still loves to bake. She had friends come over. None of these friends were from church. These were all friends from school. And they baked. They made cookies. They laughed. They giggled. They had a sleepover. They decorated all this stuff. And then the next day we got up and we went to 6 or 7 different places, ladies and men from church, to deliver all those goods to them. So here's a picture with Barbara Jackson, Jackie Sawyer, Virginia Thomas, and Jan Nichols, who's now no longer with us, and I think the other 3 ladies are pretty much home now. There was 2 or 3 other people that we went and saw as well. Loved it. They loved it. Those people that got those things, it was, and we were, of course, behind schedule because every place we went to, they wanted us to stay longer and talk, right? They loved it. But Lana and her friends were having a great time as well. We all benefited from that day. My kids have always loved going to camp. Love camp. Caleb could not wait to be a camp counselor. And his first opportunity was in 2020, and there was no camp because of COVID. So he had to wait a whole nother year, but he's done it. This picture on the left was Lana's last year as a camper, and he was a counselor. And then over on the right, Lana was a camper at the little kids camp, and she had Cameron and Sadie and Paisley all in her cabin. And I'll tell you what, both of them learned from that because they were worn, when they come back from camp, they're worn out. I mean, that's a week of service, you know. You're not getting paid for that, but they absolutely love it. And then, of course, you hope that when your kids leave, right, that they continue the service. This past May, Caleb had the opportunity to go to France with the Aggies for Christ, and they were turning, this was a convent that they're turning into a Christian school. Now, part of the trip, they had a few days, they got to go to Paris, they got to sightsee and do all the fun touristy things, and then for the rest of the time, they were working. I think it was a group of about 15 of them that were over there. He had the time of his life. Of course, he wants to go back, and you know, but they were serving, and he loved it because it was fun, right? He was with other people. And here coming up on December 28th, he's going to Tanzania to, I don't know if you pronounce it Nema or Nema, but it's that village there with the orphanage, and spending 2.5 weeks over there doing that as well. And it was possible because he sent letters out to people at church, and he got enough donations to not only pay for France, but to pay for this other trip to Tanzania as well. So, I mean, what a blessing that, you know, and I know some of you sitting in here gave money for that, and thank you. I previously asked the question, do your kids see you serving? I do feel like it's important for them to see you serving if you expect them to serve as well. One of the things that I always did was feed the football team. Now, part of that was kind of selfish on my part because I wanted to see who's my son hanging around, who are these kids on the team, who are these coaches, right? So for 3 years, I did this during football season. On Thursdays, I fed the JV and the freshman team, and on Fridays, I fed the varsity team. I loved it. It was fun. But I think it also set the example for my kids to see me doing something. This was just one trip to Aldi one time to get the bread, the cheese, and everything, and some of the parents came up and we made sandwiches. We typically did not make it. We typically went the easy route and ordered from like Jason's Deli or something. But I would go up and pass it out. So I got the kids love me. They call me the food lady. So, you know, they saw me, they love Miss Danielson because I had food, right? And then now I, for the softball team, am in charge of the concession stand. So I'm, you know, usually in the concession stand every week during the JV games, serving, you know, doing that, and I love it. So back to 1 Peter 4:10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. So I encourage you to find a way to turn your child's interests and strengths, and yours as well, into a way to serve others. Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see. We can't do it all, but we can all do something to serve others. And no good teacher would leave you without homework. And that last slide didn't come up, but that's okay. So your homework is you're going to get a box or two from up here. Okay, so the boxes will just, you know, fold up, go like this. But before you put the box together, your child can color on it, can write a note, do something on the box, right? And then you're going to grab some muffin mix, and you're going to get some chocolate chip cookie mix. Make that with your child. And then over here also are lots of different cards. So look through here and there's plenty for you to take 2 or 3 even sets of cards and write a note. And have your child write a note or draw a picture in the card and look and see. It may be someone from church, maybe it's not. Maybe you know someone through work or someone else that could use something, that could use some encouragement. And take this to them. And then, because there will be leftover cards in your pack, I encourage you to look in the church bulletin on Sunday or on Thursday when it comes out on the email and see, is there someone I could send a card to this week? All right, thank y'all.